Welcome to KGW News at 5. For the second day in a row, we're looking at record-breaking heat around Portland metro area with highs in the low 90s. And there's a chance we could do it again tomorrow for Mother's Day. Thanks for joining us. I'm Blair Best. Let's check in with meteorologist Joe Ranieri. And Joe, people might want to have those outdoor brunches a little earlier this year since it could get pretty hot tomorrow.
Yeah, by 11 o'clock, the popular hour for brunch, at least for us. It might be a little too warm to be outdoors, but I want to take you to the Oregon coast where this is a pretty busy scene over in Lincoln City. Temperature of 81 right now. Now, this would be relatively normal if we were in, let's say, late July, early part of August. No, it's mid-May, and it's looking more like summer-like conditions throughout parts of the Oregon coast right now. A little bit cooler over Newport with a temperature at this hour of 72 degrees, but nothing but sunshine throughout the coast of the valley and the mountains. Temperatures right now, Blair, are in the basically upper 80s to low 90s. Portland, 92 degrees. West Lynn, 92. King City at 91 along the east side of the state. A little bit cooler by 15 degrees or so. Over in Burns, you're seeing a temperature of 76 degrees. So the heat is going to be sitting over us once again. A lot of locations are looking at record-breaking temperatures for the second day in a row. And there's a chance we could do it again tomorrow for Mother's Day. Portland, the official high was at 93 degrees. McMinnville, you saw a high of 91 degrees. And as we look at the weather headlines heading into tomorrow, record heat again today, possibly doing it for tomorrow. And there's a chance we'd be looking at 4 days in a row with temperatures right around 90 or above. And that basically pushes us into the early part of next week. Still the 80s all next week, though. Staying hot on the coast tomorrow, possibly seeing a return of temperatures close to 90 degrees. Astoria came very close, but we're going to have that ridge of high pressure in place again today and tomorrow. But there are some changes along the east side of the state that could be impacting us heading into the early part of next week. I'll talk more about that in just a few minutes.
All right, Joe, thanks so much. Well, we have new information tonight on a water rescue along the coast. We now know the victims were all students from the Beaverton School District. On Friday, authorities say 4 people ran into trouble swimming near Tolovana Beach. 2 were able to get out on their own. Firefighters rescued a 3rd, and the 4th person, they say, was never found. This is a developing story, and we'll update you when we have more information. Well, the high temps through the weekend and into Monday mean many people are out and about at parks and events or on the water. All this comes with a bit of a warning from officials to make sure your fun isn't cut short. Here's Alma McCarty with the details.
I mean, it's going to be a great weekend. I'm excited to see people out and about.
Sun in the sky, boats on the water.
A lot of families out here and a lot of fishermen.
And with them, the Coast Guard, prepped to handle all kinds of water emergencies.
It picks up in the summer as more activity come out and as hotter it gets and there's more people. So on a weekend like this, we'll probably respond to probably about 10 cases. And we have other agencies that help us.
When they're not out on calls, Petty Officer Asher Ray Palomares explains they're checking to make sure everyone's staying safe. Coast Guard on the Willamette and the Columbia.
Make sure you have your required safety equipment, which includes life jackets, fire extinguishers, and life rings and throwable stuff like that.
Staying cool in the record high heat didn't require a boat or a beach.
Over in Vancouver, the city opened up the splash pads this week, one in Esther Short Park and one here on the waterfront, just in time for families to pack the parks Saturday.
The free water feature open to the public from dawn to dusk through the end of the summer season. Back in Portland, pet parents got out earlier for the Doggy Dash, supporting the Oregon Humane Society.
The weather could not be better. It's still pretty cool. We've got a lot of extra precautions for the heat because we want people, most importantly, to be safe when they're here.
Laura Klink with the Humane Society walked us through how to keep dogs and cats safe this summer.
It's important to know the limitations of your pet. You know, being in a cool place, either in the shade or inside, is always going to be the safest bet. If you see your pet having signs of heat distress, which include vomiting, lethargy, excessive panting, dry nose, then that's the time to seek veterinary care.
Taking in this advice and staying safe and cool, here's to enjoying the first hot weather weekend of 2023. Alma McCarty, KGW News.
And stay with us throughout the rest of the weekend for continuing weather coverage. You can find the latest forecasts and updates on air on KGW.com and on our social media pages and on the KGW News app. Well, let's get you caught up on tonight's other headlines. One person is dead after a shooting in North Portland. This happened at 11:30 last night on North Portsmouth Avenue. When police got there, they found one man shot. He was taken to the hospital where he later died. No word on if anyone was arrested. This is Portland's 33rd homicide this year. A man is now dead after being stabbed at a mall in Salem Friday. Police say 20-year-old Enrique Franco and the teenage suspect were in what police are calling an altercation. This happened before the stabbing on the second floor near the Macy's entrance and food court. The investigation shut down part of the complex. Franco was sent to the hospital with life-threatening injuries and later died. The 15-year-old suspect now faces several charges, including murder. And yet another development for the Mount Hood Birth Center. Oregon officials have now extended the deadline for them to reopen to August 3rd. The Oregon Health Authority says Legacy is making progress towards getting the center back up and running. They closed it without the required state approval back in March. It could still reopen before August. Legacy had said earlier this week they were on track to reopen in mid-June. Well, now to a traffic alert in southeast Portland, where crews continue to fix a sinkhole that opened up Friday on southeast Yamhill Street and 76th Avenue. That's in the Mount Tabor neighborhood. PBOT tells us while it looks pretty small from the surface, the hole is about 10 feet deep and could get bigger. Yamhill is closed on 76th, but before crews got there, neighbors say they put out buckets and bins to warn drivers.
It went from 6 inches at 2:30, and you see what it is now. I mean, it's a crater, and it took an hour and a half, but I think the buses pounding on it didn't help.
PBOT says they're investigating the extent of the damage and crews will be out working on it this weekend. TriMet also says Line 15 will not be stopping between Southeast 71st and 76th until further notice. While Multnomah County elections workers hope the hot weather doesn't distract you from getting your ballots in. And they're working extended hours just to help you. So thank your election workers. Both the main elections office on Southeast Morrison and the Voting Center Express in Gresham were open today from 10 to 2. And they'll be open again on Monday from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. And Tuesday, that's Election Day, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. That's the election deadline. The office hours are for anyone who has a problem, from a lost ballot to a changed address. And to save time, you can get things started before going to the office in person.
They can start the process on their own with the order ahead replacement ballot online. If none of their information has changed, they can also call the office and we can help start the process for them.
To go online, just visit multnomahvotes.gov or call 503-988-VOTE. Again, the deadline is Tuesday, May 16th. Well, it's a place people count on to borrow books, do research, and dig up information. And now the city of Beaverton is looking to pull back on both library staff and hours. Catherine Cook explains why.
It feels like a slap in the face to them.
Adam Korst is heartbroken for librarians in the city of Beaverton. As the Library Union president, Korst says he sat in the same room with 8 Beaverton librarians last week as city officials told them their jobs were unofficially on the chopping block, pending approval by city council.
It's gut-wrenching. This is people's livelihood. And librarians, it's a very niche job, and it's very hard to find jobs in that field. And this is something that people have worked a very long time for.
The pending cuts come as the city of Beaverton responds to what they call unprecedented funding challenges. They noted rising inflation and financial strains brought on by the pandemic. The result? A $10 million general fund shortfall and a $1 million library fund deficit. This week, the Budget Committee recommended cutting 18 library staff positions. That includes 2 part-time positions at the Beaverton City Library, 8 full and part-time positions at the Murray Shoals branch, and 1 vacancy. The city may also reduce hours at the Murray Shoals branch from 7 to 4 days a week.
I hate to see anyone lose their job, right? Because at the end of the day, they provide a service, and it's a service that the community uses. So
John Payne says he uses the Murray Shoals branch about 3 times a week and lives less than a mile away. He says he'll feel the impact of reduced hours.
If you've got to go to the main branch, of course that's a fantastic facility, but at the same time it's nice having local access to to a nice branch.
Another library guest told us he's indifferent to the reduced hours, happy to visit other branches, and says he won't notice staffing cuts.
They've got signs that say use the electronic checkout. You don't need a librarian anymore.
Korst feels much differently. He's hanging on to the city's words that these cuts are not yet a done deal, hoping that perhaps they can find a way to reduce the budget without reducing jobs.
Again, these are people, these are lives, these are stories. It was incredibly challenging to sit with these 8 librarians and hear the stories on how this is going to impact their lives.
Well, the next budget committee meeting is scheduled for May 23rd. A public hearing and possible approval by City Council is slated for June 6th. City leaders tell us that if the library cuts go through, guests should expect reduced hours to kick in late this summer or early fall.